This presentation is for beginners who would like to go to college or just figuring out to go to college. So college, as we know, it's a mix of emotions for a lot of people. It's a lot of studying, it's a lot of self-discovery, it's a lot of relationship building, and of course, a lot of study. So my name again is Rozalera. On the Discord server of SkillSearch, my tag is Rozalera #0664. Currently, I am a college student studying industrial engineering, and I am an alumni of an American vocational high school. And right now, I'm in the European Union. So this presentation is mainly suited for 3 people. The first type of person is if they don't know whether to go to college or not, they don't know if it's right for them. And the second type of person for this presentation is people who are close to graduating or have already graduated secondary, high school, and stuff like that. And the third type of person is EU and American students. That means that students who have studied for secondary school in the EU or in America. So there are 5 sections to this presentation. The first section is called, Do I Really Need to Go to College? And the second section is about choosing a college to apply to. The third section is applying to college. The fourth section is preparing for your first year in college. And finally, the 5th section is about reducing the price. So let's start off with section 1. Do I really need to go to college? Now, this is a very important slide because it could save you so much time and so much money if you decide what is the proper choice. So we're going to get into that. The first and most important question to ask yourself before applying is, what kind of career do I want to have? And will a college degree be necessary to get that career? A great way to find out if a college degree is necessary for your type of job position, look it up on job searching sites such as Indeed, Google, Monster.com, and so much more. There's so many job searching sites out there, and if you look under qualifying, or the qualifications, that's where you're going to see what kind of education is required. Now, if you don't know what kind of career would you like, that's totally okay. And if you like some help on that, I suggest talking to your guidance counselor, fellow teachers, parents, and friends. They basically talk to people that know you very well. And of course, you can also talk to us on SkillSearch. We'd be absolutely happy to help you with choosing your career. So the second question you must ask yourself before deciding to go to college is, are there other types of education more suited for my chosen career? Now, this is a common lie that I see a lot about having a college degree will get you a fantastic job and a happy life, when that's absolutely not the case. There's many more factors than just a college degree. So sometimes when you have a career maybe such as plumbing or cosmetology, college may absolutely not be necessary, and you can still get a very high and good paying position in those types of fields. So this is a just general guide of the type of education that I recommend for these types of careers. So we're going to go over each of these in their own individual slide and in more detail. Now, the way that I made this guide was based off surveys of my former classmates at my vocational high school and seeing where they landed up. So for instance, I had a friend who was in the arts program, and they only went to art school, not college, and they're doing quite well actually. They're at a newspaper company now doing comics, and they're doing really well in it. So that's just an example. So let's go to the first kinds of careers, the career group as I call it. So this includes human resources, customer service, retail, transportation, and sometimes culinary. Now, in this case, I would recommend you to stop right where you are. Just get a high school diploma, and I believe that will be enough for you. Now, as you can see on the slide, there's a list of the top 20 highest paying jobs that don't require any kind of higher education. And of course, in high school, you learn so much socially, right? You learn how to behave in social situations. You learn that through your friend groups, through the relationships of your teachers. And to add on to that, for the retail part, I understand retail has some math in it. However, it's all high school math, such as addition, subtraction, sometimes simple algebra even. But all that can be easily learned in secondary or high school. So let's move on to the next slide. So this is the next kind of career. Now, these careers are much more common that I see in these types of schools, such as vocational schools. These include the trades, carpentry, cosmetology, arts, technician, even programming and other trades. Then if you're going to go into a trade, or the arts, or even programming, then I highly suggest stopping at trade school or boot camps or similar. So coding boot camps are, in my opinion, not a bad idea. I had a friend who did the programming major at my vocational high school, and he later went to coding boot camp, and now he is a web developer. And he's very happy with his job. So you can absolutely become a programmer without a computer science degree or a college degree. So as you can see on this slide here, we also have the best jobs for trade school graduates. So these include elevator installer / repair, web developer again, dental hygienist, and plumber. So definitely look around for trade schools, boot camps, or something similar if you want to go into these types of physical and trades fields. So next to the final group of professions, these careers are professionally licensed professions. So these include being in the healthcare, being in law, engineering, managers, education, and any other type of professionally licensed profession. Now here is where I would suggest you to go to college. Now you may have noticed that I put associate science / arts instead of bachelor's. There's a reason for that. Community college can also be a very good choice, and in this presentation, when I talk about college, I'm also going to include community colleges for Americans out there. So community colleges can also offer you a lot depending on the type of career you want to go to. For instance, if you want to be a technician or you want to be like a high-level technician, like a technician manager, then I think community colleges could possibly be a good option. But otherwise, if you want to go into healthcare, law, of course, there's law school and medical school. For managers, of course, usually they like to have a master's, and for education, I don't know as much about that, but I am aware that there's a lot of procedures that go into that. That does include a bachelor's degree. So as you can see on the slide here, we have the highest paying majors, but do not mistake this for the most job opportunities. For instance, petroleum engineering, the job growth is -1%, so it's actually going down, right? So what I suggest for majors in this case is that choose a major that you are interested in, of course, but make sure it can make money as well. So I've heard the saying before, I'm going to say it again. Major in something that makes the money, minor in something that you love. This is the third out of 4 questions you need to ask yourself before applying. So do you want a bachelor's degree for the right reasons? AKA, do you want to go to college for the right reasons? Now, there's no really correct reason, but there are a couple of wrong reasons to go to college. And I'm just going to list out the most common ones that I see. So this is the biggest one. Do not go to college just because of peer pressure or your family wants to. Because college is an investment. It's an investment of your time, your energy, and your money. chances are you are going to be studying even all-nighters sometimes. And college will be miserable if you're just there because of someone else's dreams and not your dreams. So when you go to college, you definitely want to go there because you want to go there, not because someone else wants to go there. So here's another one that does relate to Olivia Jade a little bit. As you can see, there's a photo of her on this slide. Do not go to college if your only reason is to have the college life. It is a place for learning, okay? So the college life references to the parties, the drinking, the dating world, basically a lot of social major events that are very exciting. So college, as I said before, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of investment of your time and your money, okay? So that means that you may not have enough time to do things that may be like a social event, such as a party or maybe dating or stuff like that. So if you're just going there for the college life, I suggest don't. Do not go there just because of the college life. So doing it for money is absolutely not a bad reason, because at the end of the day, you're expected to make money after getting the degree. Okay, so in fact, I think this is one of the most common reasons people go to college. It is not wrong to go to college for money, because as I said before, it's investment of your money as well. So you want to make sure they want to pay back that money. And of course, we all want a really great paying job, right? And a degree might help you with that, depending on your career again. So the fourth reason, do not underestimate this question. Am I in a good mental health state? Not only mental health state, but also physical health state. So if you find yourself mentally struggling to do important tasks such as homework, tests, it may be appropriate to do a gap year or to wait, but there's absolutely no shame in taking time for your health. What matters is that you complete your degree. It doesn't matter what age or what time you complete it, as long as you complete it, that's an achievement in itself. And in fact, people report that after taking a gap year, they do much better than if they start before. So once you're in a state where you feel more energized and motivated, then you can come back to college and you'll be succeeding like no one else because you took that break for yourself. So definitely ask this question to yourself. Do not underestimate the power of having great mental health or great physical health during college. It will hold you back if you don't take care of it. So if all the 4 questions point to university is answered, then awesome. Let's continue to the second session, choosing university. This is probably one of the most funnest periods during the college transition is choosing the university. There's so many options, but don't worry, I'm going to help you narrow it down to just a couple. There are mainly 5 factors to choosing a university. Number 1 is location. Number 2 is the cost. Number 3 is the atmosphere. Number 4 is the services. And number 5 is the accreditation. And some extra for my EU students out there, we're going to talk about the type of education, specifically vocational and research universities. The first factor to choosing university is location. A proper location such as a cities with specialties in your industry can bring you many opportunities just by living in that city. So here's an example. You may not go to the best school in the USA for computer science, but you're in Silicon Valley. You have easier access to internships and opportunities. Remember, it's not about what kind of college you're in, whether it's prestigious or not. It's a matter of the location that can help you network and develop your resume. So another thing is homesickness. This is an important thing to talk about. So homesickness can be a huge issue during college, and many people experience it. There's no shame in feeling homesickness, but it is important to remember that some people get so homesick that they drop out and they fail. So please think about how far away you want your college to be. And if you know or you predict that you will get very homesick, then I suggest staying within a driving distance or maybe a subway distance away from your home, depending who you are. There's absolutely no shame in it. Here's an important thing for my Americans out there. Do not absolutely have to think that you have to stay in the United States for your degree. Majority of Americans, vast majority, who graduate American high school, they usually stay in the United States for their bachelor's degree, their associate's degree, and what's on and so forth. Now, I believe that there is a huge world out there filled with so many opportunities and experiences just waiting for you. And it's important to consider Europe, especially because there's so many amazing colleges out there, such as University of Amsterdam, University of Bologna, and Munich Tech. These are all very prestigious universities that you can easily get into, probably. So a lot of them are also cheaper because, again, it's a different type of economic system. So this could also be a good option if you want to save money. Of course, travel is the best education. If you want to have some more help or you're interested in going to Europe for college as an American student, check out the link on the slide right now, beyondthestates.com. It's a great website. That's how I found my university. And of course, here is a photo to the right here. This shows the average tuition for American citizens in every single country. Now, some countries, as you can see, may have $10,000, but other countries, such as Norway, are less than $1,000. So as you can see, there's a lot of opportunity to save money, and not only that, it will give you the experience of the lifetime. I mean, you're studying in a different country. Not only that, but it's Europe. It's beautiful Europe. So definitely consider it for all those Americans out there, and check out beyondthestates.com. So number 2 is the cost. We're going to touch more on this on section 5, but this is just to briefly know about it. It's important to talk to your parents or your guardian of how much money they're willing to spend on your education. Ideally, you want to pay the university in cash as much as you can. And do not rely on college loans or applying to scholarships entirely to pay your education. Now, of course, if you got a scholarship to that university, then congratulations, you will probably be almost debt-free. So congratulations to those. We're going to talk more about this in the 5th section. Number 2. Third type of aspect you want to consider when choosing a college is the atmosphere. So some colleges, they're a place to party, while others are a place for academic competition. So what kind of atmosphere would you like to be? So here are 2 examples of completely opposite universities in terms of atmosphere. You have University of Alabama, which is commonly known for their amazing parties and amazing sport teams. But then over here you have MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of pressure to do academically well, to go higher than everyone else. So if you don't know or you want to get an idea of the atmosphere of a college, take a college tour. To simply get one, look up your university's name, and then on-campus tours. Remember, on-campus tours. You don't want online tours. So number 4 is the services. The services of a college can change your life, or rather your experience in college, drastically. So services include things such as honors programs, accommodation for special needs, clubs, co-op, sports programs, food. So here's an avid example of a type of service that's quite unique. So University of Michigan actually has an on-campus ski resort. So it's important to consider what kind of services you're looking for and whether your university or the university you're looking for has that. These are 2 very common services. So the first kind of service is a co-op program. So what's a co-op program? So co-op program is a work-study program. Essentially, you are taking an internship or a job as part of your college credit. So sometimes it's paid, sometimes it's not, and usually it's offered the third or final year of college. And the second kind of services that are pretty common in American universities is Greek life. Greek life is also called sororities/fraternities. They have their own separate offices at college. It's a community of students with the goal of having leadership, community service, and building relationships between students. And of course, sometimes you have to pay a fee to join. Sometimes it's completely free, and not all universities offer it, so it's definitely something to think about if you're interested in joining Greek life. So number 5, do not underestimate, again, last but not least, right? Accreditation. For your degree to be recognized, it has to be accredited. So if it's not accredited, it's going to prevent you from getting many opportunities like a job. So to find out if your program is accredited, check out these sites on the slide right now. So usually, as long as it's accredited by the country or region, you're mostly fine. But for my engineers out there in the United States, please look out for this specific accreditation. It's called ABET. It's going to be very helpful to have that accreditation. And of course, if you're enjoying the video so far, I encourage you to like and subscribe and join the community at SkillSearch. We'd be so happy to have you here. So this is for my EU students out there. So this, as far as I'm concerned, is exclusive to Netherlands and Germany. It's the types of bachelor's education. So there are vocational universities, which are called HBO in the Netherlands, and then there are research universities called WO in the Netherlands. So I made a simple chart comparing both of them. Now remember, I only have experience in the Netherlands with these types of education. So of course, if you are a German student and you see something incorrect here, you are happy to comment on it. So as you can see here, there isn't a huge difference. But it's important to know that both of them are recognized globally. With both, you can get a job. And the types of classes, the main difference is that vocational classes are very practical, hands-on. You can directly apply them to the job. But in a research university, it's more theoretical, academic. It's more or less teaching you to be a scientist, a researcher, right? And of course, I think this is the most important difference, is that there's a different type of education required to enroll in these types of schools. So for instance, if you're an American who would like to go to the European Union, then you will probably go to a vocational bachelor's program, either in the Netherlands or Germany, because your American diploma by itself is good enough, right? But let's say you have an IB diploma, or you're from the EU, or even, then you'd be qualified to do a research program. So of course, there are extra resources on this. Remember, this is just simplified. The links are below the chart. These two links are for the Netherlands, and the other link is for international students wanting to go into the USA for college. So this is an example of a vocational university versus a research university. So an example of a vocational university is Fontys University of Applied Sciences. So usually the way you tell that a college is vocational in the Netherlands or in Germany is if they have the University of Applied Sciences at the end of it, right? So for instance, Avon University of Applied Sciences, Hans University of Applied Sciences. So look out for that University of Applied Sciences. As for research universities, usually you'll have technical university or just university alone. It can also have technical institute maybe, but generally you will not see of applied sciences. That's really the main difference in the name. And of course, you have technical, and other stuff. So those are the two examples of a vocational university versus a research university in the EU. So we move on to our third section, applying to college. This is the one that is the most anxiety and the most stressful out of all of them. Trust me, I've been through it. So let's go. Applying for Americans. We're going to touch on how to apply to college for Americans. So there are generally 3 steps to apply to college. There's number 1, locate the website for the application. Number 2, gather necessary documents. Number 3, apply on the website you found on step 1. So step 1 is to locate the website with the application. So most of the time you can apply in the Common App. It's a separate website. It's a private company. It's available for national and international students wanting to apply to an American university. And this should be your priority in terms of searching for the application. Check this website first for the application. It's mostly there, like it's there most of the time. And other times, which is not often, the university will have a separate page on their website. Sometimes you can apply simply by writing a letter physically instead of online, but usually people apply online on the Common App. So step 2, gather the necessary documents. So this can also apply to EU students. So typically the kind of documents you need to apply are number 1, your transcript, college essay, the complete FAFSA or social security number, or for my EU students, any kind of financial aid you would like. 4, letters of recommendation. That's kind of more optional, but I highly suggest having them. And finally, for my Americans out there, this is also optional, your SAT and ACT score. Now, why is it optional? I thought it was necessary. Well, not anymore. Ever since 2020 happened, universities have been lightening their restrictions on the type of SAT score, ACT score you need. So nowadays, you can even apply to top universities, even Harvard sometimes, without an SAT score, which is great. So of course, this is important. It's the law, okay? Always tell your guidance counselor what colleges you'll be applying to. Remember, this is the law. You absolutely have to do this before you apply to any of these colleges. So step 3, apply and send the documents and information. Now, I wish you the best of luck for those who have already applied. I hope that you get into the school that you want, because to be honest, we all deserve a great education and to go to our dream school, right? Here are for my EU students. So typically the process is pretty short. It's generally the same 3 steps as we saw: find the website to apply, gather necessary documents, and finally actually apply. So usually there's a different website. So for instance, in the Netherlands, we have a studielink.nl that is basically the equivalent of the Common App. Now in Germany or in Italy, it may be a different website. Of course, you can comment down below if you know that website. It'd be very useful to us. So number 4, we reached the 4th section, preparing for your first year. So this is when you go into college. This is when you got accepted into maybe your dream college, maybe not, that's okay. But I'm going to give you some steps and some tips to help you prepare. So the first tip I have is do some light social media research. Do research on the clubs, the types of teachers you have, or the programs, institutes, maybe even your classmates. But of course, remember, I said light. You do not have to know everything about them. So this is going to give you some familiarity ahead of time. It may even decrease your anxiety because you already have an idea of what the program is like or the club is like. Now, of course, this one's also very important to your health. Make a schedule for exercising and studying. So why do I need to do that ahead, you may ask? Well, I must say that when you go to college, you're going to have a lot of time dedicated to classes and studying. So depending on your schedule, it may be more important, it may be more difficult to find time to exercise, to study, to take time for your mental health. It's important to try and make a schedule ahead of time. So by the time college rolls around and the classes start, you are not going to be unhealthy. You are going to be at the top of your game because you had that schedule in the first place. So if you're choosing classes, please search info on professors. Nobody wants a really bad professor in the first year. A bad professor can be quite detrimental to your grades. So there's a specific website for this I highly recommend. It's called ratemyprofessor.com. Rate My Professor is mainly for North American universities, unfortunately. Or you can search them up through Instagram or wherever, a website that they have. Definitely do some info on them and see if they're the type of teacher that will either give you an A or give you an F. So spend time with loved ones. So you're not going to have a lot of time to hang out with them or call them or text them. So it's important to use your time wisely by spending time with your family, of course, or your friends, right? They all love you. They all need you, you know, and we have to acknowledge that. And we want, as college students or incoming college students, to not forget of who we love or forget our loved ones. Definitely spend time with your family. So this advice is not commonly given, but I did this before I went to college. If you suspect that there's a medical issue, please visit the doctor. It's going to help you so much by visiting the doctor early instead of later, right? Because again, you don't have as much time for things outside of school, such as doctor's appointments, maybe even medical appointments, and other stuff. So please, if you suspect that there's a medical issue that could affect your schooling, please visit the doctor. And sometimes you may even have a diagnosis that you never even thought of. That happened to me. So a diagnosis is going to help you with so much during college, mainly with accommodation. It's going to help you succeed of knowing what kind of medical issues you have and how to succeed with them. So, of course, if you're disabled or you're neurodiverse, contact the disability office a month at the latest. So what I mean is that a month before classes start. Try and find as much information as you can about the types of services and the types of accommodation they can provide with you given your current medical condition. And sometimes accommodations can take months to be implemented, so the sooner you do it, the better. Trust me, I've been through it myself, and usually you can find the disability office contacts through the university's website, and they'd be happy to help you for the most part. Finally, just relax. I mean, college is so stressful, it's so much time, and it can weigh on you after a while. So why would you want to feel tired or feel exhausted and you haven't even started yet? So ideally when you go into college, you want to be relaxed. You want to be ready, full of energy, right? But if you already use your energy during the summer, then you're not going to have enough for September, right? So definitely take the time to just relax, enjoy yourself. It's summer, enjoy it. So number 5, this is also a very important section, reducing costs or reducing the price. Now this can be used for any kind of college student in any year, and please listen for the following slide. So this is how to save money for my American students out there. When I have the US on the title, that means that it's only exclusive to American students. So please avoid student loans as much as you can. Now, why should you? I have 3 main reasons, and I have some data to back up that. So number 1 is you cannot declare bankruptcy. Now, ever since Sallie Mae, one of the biggest institutions providing students with student loans, was privatized, they made it nearly impossible to declare bankruptcy. And the second reason is, due to you probably not making enough money to even pay the interest, you'll be paying as much as triple the interest by the time you graduate. That means that, let's say you had a loan for $3,000. But if you were unable to pay even the interest because you weren't making enough income, then the interest adds up over time, right? So you end up paying more than the original loan. Now, this is horrible because, again, you just started your career, you don't have the best resume, and you just got out of college. It's not horrible, I'm sorry. It's a stressful and time, energy place. So the last thing you want is to have student debt on your back. So number 3 is, if you default, which I think you should never do, then 50% of your wages get taken out to pay for the loan. And if your parents co-sign the loan, this will apply to them as well. So this is an obvious one. Apply to scholarships. Scholarships are basically free money at the core. There's a lot of scholarships online. It's important to work hard for them while also applying to many. So these are a couple websites that you can apply to college for. MyScholarly, FastWeb, google.com/scholarships, College Board, FastWeb, CapEx, and here's a photo of MyScholarly. Remember, MyScholarly is a paid website. It's a subscription, so it's not free. Become a resident advisor. So resident advisors are students who live and work in dorms and other campus-based housing. They work with a number of issues relating to their housing, such as helping a student find their keys or helping a student organize their room. So this could save you a lot on housing expenses. And housing expenses usually take up half the tuition in America. So being a resident advisor can help you live for free. So it instantly cuts off maybe even half of your tuition. So of course, check your university's website or housing agency to see if they're hiring. And it's also important to note that resident advisors are usually sophomores and higher. So for my Americans out there, skip the all-you-can-eat food plans. In reality, you may not eat that much at all. You can oftentimes get food for cheap elsewhere, such as a local grocery store. It's a common fact that food plans are overpriced, so skip it altogether if you can. So this one is very important for my Americans out there. Fill out the FAFSA immediately. I mean immediately. Even before you apply to college, fill it out as soon as you can. So why should I fill it out? Well, let's talk about that. So the FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. So it's an application that you can fill out absolutely for free. And typically, if you're under 18, you're going to need a parent. So the FAFSA can give you money for your education, including loans, grants, work study, and so much more. It can help you a lot to save a lot of money for your education. So the FAFSA calculates the amount of money you will be given based off the tax records of the person who will be paying for your college. So for instance, let's say you're applying for the FAFSA in 2021. They'll usually need the tax records of your parents or a guardian or whoever's paying the college of 2020. So based on those tax records, they can calculate of how much money you'll need for your education. So write down this website. It's studentaid.gov. Remember, it's a .gov. Do not trust any website that says different. That's where you can fill it out for absolutely free and where you can find more info about it. Now, as you can see, Michelle Obama promotes the website in this photo. So this applies to my EU students and my American students. Avoid buying textbooks from the school shop. This will also save you quite a bit of money, especially my EU students out there. It's definitely a lot of money in terms of the percentage. It's a common fact that the school shop oftentimes overprices the textbook, so it's a complete ripoff. So here I have a list of websites that you can go to get your textbook even for free sometimes, or for cheap. So check.com, Slugbooks. In the Netherlands, we have Bookmatch, Marketplaats. And of course, there are online websites where you can get PDF, LibGen, Z Library, PDF Library, or you can just Google the name of the book and then file type PDF. So do not buy the textbooks before classes start, because sometimes they're not even used, right? So they may say it's mandatory at the right before classes start, but once the classes actually start, they may not use it after all. So definitely wait to decide whether to buy the textbooks or not. So sometimes you can also get textbooks from upperclassmen. They may be selling it, and you can also ask upperclassmen whether the textbook is really necessary. They also have great information on that. And finally, the textbooks can also be floating around through Facebook, Reddit, etc. Join a Facebook group and maybe they have the textbook there. So this is for my Dutch students, specifically the Dutch universities. So if your expenses are too high, your living expenses, your tuition, apply to Duo. So Duo is a government agency that helps students fund their education. They give out grants, scholarships, loans, all based on the income you get and daily expenses. So it is not completely based off your tax records. However, every person is different, so the calculation may be different. So for EU nationals, to get support from Duo, you must have 56 work hours per month or more. For non-EU nationals, it highly depends, but usually it's based off your residence permit. So to apply and to find more info about Duo, go to this website, duo.nl. Yeah, so highly suggest that. So this is applied to my European students and my American students. Live on housing separate from university. A good way to save up is to set up the housing yourself. For my American students, instead of living on campus, you could just live on a nearby apartment, because usually they're much cheaper than your dorm room. And for my EU students, instead of having housing set up by your university, research the student housing agency yourself and then compare. And also, having roommates will have a great benefit to reducing cost. So another important thing for my EU and American students is to use student discounts. So whenever you're buying something, ask for a student discount. They can be floating around. You may not even know. You just have to ask. So sometimes you will have to show your student ID to get the discount. But an easy way to find student discounts is to check out this website, myunidays.com, for a list of companies with student discounts. So for computer science / tech majors, definitely look up GitHub Student Pack. It's a bunch of subscriptions for absolutely free. This includes Visual Studio. This also includes GitHub and other services that may be useful to you as a computer science student. And of course, we have the photos of Unidays and GitHub Education, or aka the GitHub Student Pack. So that is today's video. So if you enjoyed today's video, I encourage you to like and subscribe and join the community at Skills Search to get assistance for college and even for high school students. So you can join our Discord server, follow our social media, and we'll see you later. Bye.